And there's one other thing here. I feel like it has to be discussed. When you look at teams who are, top tier programs, to me, I feel like one of the teams that come to mind is the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators are 4-5 in a very absolutely pathetic loss against the South Carolina Gamecocks this past week. They lost 40-17. They gave up more points against South Carolina than they did Alabama or Georgia. They lost 40-17. They gave up 40 points to a first-year head coach. They gave up 40 points to the 115th total offense heading into this game, with a FCS transfer quarterback making his first career start in the FBS. Florida was picked to win this game by 21 points. They absolutely were atrocious. They were horrible in this game. The last 7 games, not in Gainesville, the Gators are just 1-6. The last 10 games against Power 5 opponents, Dan Mullen and the Florida Gators are just 2-8. And here's the real kicker: 2-8 the last 10 Power 5 games. Half of those losses are against unranked opponents. To me, that's what really stands out to me. Because when you look at those, other 4 games that are, Power 5. Okay, you played Oklahoma, you played Georgia, Alabama, and then you played Alabama again. So I could get that. But your other 4 is just unacceptable. It's just their other 4 that just lost to South Carolina. They lost to LSU. They lost to Kentucky. And they lost to LSU last season. Like, Florida is looking like they are notorious for losing games that they shouldn't. They are underperforming this season. And honestly, when you go back and look at last season, there was times they just underperformed. Like, they lost to A&M. They lost to LSU. 2 games that they should have not have lost. And it's just, Florida's better than capable of winning those games. And they're just not able to. I mean, half those games of the playing against the Power 5 in the last 10, they're 2-8. Half of those are unranked teams. That is unacceptable. They are 2-5 their last 7 games. Even looking back in some of their games that they won, they beat University of South Florida early on in the season. They beat FAU early on in the season. And it was one of those situations where Florida really should have played better in those games despite winning. Because, if it wasn't for bad coaching and just simple mistakes by USF and FAU, the games really could have been a lot closer. Like, this Florida team is not playing good at all. They are underperforming like they have, it seems like, the whole season, it seems like. They recently parted ways just a couple of days ago with their defense coordinator, Todd Grantham, and their offensive line coach, John Hevesy. And, depending on what finishes out the rest of the season, there's a chance Dan Mullen might not be the head coach of the Florida Gators. And, you would have told me that 3 weeks ago, I thought that'd be stupid. Like, why would you fire him? But now it's to the point he's just losing control of this Gators team. There's no discipline on Florida right now. Read a report. I do not remember who it was. They said Dan Mullen, if there was an NFL opportunity, he would leave in a heartbeat. And you want a coach who is committed to your program, and a coach who has control of his team, has discipline of his team, and is not losing games he shouldn't. Dan Mullen does not have any of that. I mean, if it's true that he might leave for an NFL job, who knows? You wouldn't think so because underachieved at Florida, but we've seen at times. Look, Cliff Kingsbury, he didn't have a great didn't have a great record at Texas Tech. Then he's with, the Arizona Cardinals. They were the best teams in the league right now. So I just really feel like at the end of the season, I feel like instead of right now, it'd be best if the Florida Gators end up firing Dan Mullen. And a couple coaches to me that really stands out. One is Jamie Chadwell. He's the head coach of Coastal Carolina. The last 2 seasons, this year and last year, they are 19-2. He has coached. This is his 4th season with Coastal Carolina. They are 27-17. He's going to be one of the top head coach candidates wherever once the season is over with. And a couple other coaches here. Matt Campbell with Iowa State. He's 41-31 in 6 years with the Cyclones. And somebody else is PJ Fleck. This is his 5th season with Minnesota. He is 32-22 with as a head coach of Minnesota. He actually has a better record at Minnesota than he does at Western Michigan, which was his previous job. That's, to me, very, very, very impressive. To me, if I'm the Florida Gators, I feel like Jamie Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina, and PJ Fleck are, in my opinion, the 2 obvious choices to possibly be the next head coach of the Florida Gators. Something is completely wrong in Gainesville, and it needs to be figured out quickly. Hopefully, you know, the Gators might end up firing Mullen at the end of the season and maybe consider Chadwell, PJ Fleck, or, you know, a top candidate to replace Mullen in Gainesville.